Well, race fans, welcome along to Circuit of the Americas for Week 8 of the Radical Race Series Battle of the Radicals. New race format here in the Lone Star State, where they say that everything is bigger in Texas, including a man who currently resides in said part of the world. My name's Alex Goldscmidt, and alongside me, Texas resident, but a man originally from Louisiana. Welcome into the booth, Jim Cunningham. Jim, good evening, or good afternoon where you are at the moment, my good friend.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon. Yeah, good to be here with you. We're here in the home state of Texas at Circuit of the Americas. Pretty excited for this round. I was poisoned by a mutual friend of ours, Mr. James Parfit. He had me to where I did not like this circuit for a while because of the fact that they copied some famous turns. But you know what? It doesn't matter that they copied famous turns to make this track. It's a good track. It's a good racetrack, and I like it. And so I'm excited to be here, and I think it's going to be good racing today with these radicals around here. It's an interesting circuit for sure for these cars.
Yeah. Austin in Texas, and the circuit is located 171 meters above sea level. We are going to have 2 races tonight. So currently underway with the 10-minute qualifying that will set the grid for race 1, which will be over a duration of 7 laps of the 3.427 mile, 5.515 kilometer, 20-turn circuit that has only been in operation for now, what is its 14th year. Designed by Herman Tilke himself, it couples some of the best corners from modern-day motorsport and sort of like packages it into a really, really nice and very, very distinctive racetrack. But before we get on to brass tacks of qualifying, let's take you through the scores on the doors. Of course, with Battle of the Radicals, we have the SR10s, and Simon Edwards now has a 61-point lead over Brazil's Bruno Vitorino. Phil Glover rounds out the top 3 ahead of Heinz Braun, who's dropped 2 places in the series. Well, basically, because he wasn't with us last time out at Charlotte Roval when we headed there on week 7, back on February the 12th. James Barry, who took the double victory, amidst drama for Alexander Shushka, who dropped the ball and didn't get an SR8 overall victory. Why? Because it sounded like the engine was running out of fuel. He rounds out P5 ahead of teammate, the Portuguese man of war himself, George Gonzaga, Patricio Gomes Silva, Mehmet Barat Akus, Christoph Lipp and Fabio Regis round out your top 10 in the SR10s. Now we head over to SR8s, and it is the domination of the Shishka brothers. Alexander just 42 points ahead of brother Christian. Robert Woodward, Marcus Lang, Mr. Superstar DJ from Belgium, Stefan Mellis round out your top 5. We've had the likes of some good efforts for Steve Webb, Tobias Treichel, Chris Sutis, the man we've now affectionately nicknamed the Bandit, the man from France, has gone up to 8th in the standings ahead of Graham Matthew, and Andreas Lienen from Germany, who's moved up 4 places in the standings, but did not have a good run, let's say, last time out at Charlotte Roval. We're now heading into the final 2.5 minutes of time qualifying. And we were talking off air, weren't we, Jim, that you're going to have an experience with your son later on this year. You're going to be heading to this circuit, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to go to the Formula One race there this year. Had a nice friend offer us up some tickets, and so we're going to go enjoy the race this year. So yeah, looking forward to that. Spending the whole weekend out there, and so yeah, it's going to be, which they do the Formula One race right for sure here at Circuit of the Americas. They have huge concerts on Friday night and Saturday night. Usually some massive, superstar type act playing there. And I'm just hoping, I don't know if they've announced the entertainment yet. I just hope something that fits my genre. They had Taylor Swift a couple of years ago. I'm not exactly sure that one would be for me, but sure my son would probably like it.
You probably then find yourself in the local watering hole having a couple of beverages just to keep away from all the noise. You never know.
That could happen.
You never know. Yeah.
That could indeed happen.
Well, funnily enough, I'll be in Misano when you're in Austin, so there we go. Right, 1 minute to go, and the SR8 seem to be dominating the way because Alexander Shushka and Christian for the Fox Racing outfit, the distinctly blue SR8s with different racing stripes down the middle. We've got Christian in the number 410. He's currently nearly the best part of half a second off, but Alexander Shushka is the quickest of the SR8s with a 1:59.495. James Barry, however, is the quickest of the SR10s, the only driver to go sub 2 minutes ahead of Simon Edwards, who continues to lead the standings. And there he is, the man they called him the Bandit, Chris Zoutis. I have to say, to have the bright idea of putting the good old Phoenix, the Flaming Bird, is you know what it also reminds me of, considering COTA is a Formula One track, the old John Player Special Lotuses that Mario Andretti used to run back in the 70s. But qualifying has been completed, so we have 2 races. We're going to have a 7-lap sprint and a 12-lap feature. And there's going to be a lot of technicality that these drivers are going to have to make their way round. So it is going to be the Fox Racing pair of Alexander and Christian Shushka. The 2 brothers from Germany will line up on the front row for race 1. James Barry and Simon Edwards will be alongside each other on row number 2. Row 3 will be Chris Zoutis and Marcus Lang, the third of the Fox Racing trio from Germany, with the green Viper stripe down the middle. That'll be row 3. Mike Bousson and Robert Woodward. Good to see Mike back again in the 666 Team Radline car. Robert Nobles and Phil Glover, Mr. Positivity himself, round out your top 10. Then we go to row 6. Stefan Meles and Patricio Gomes de Silva, one of the 2 Portuguese... well, we've got several Portuguese drivers, but some are not here tonight. Kevin Harwood and Stephen Webb will be on row 7, and Robert Williams will be bringing up the rear of the field in 15th place. So 15 cars set on their course here at COTA for what will be 7 laps. So that's going to give us around about... so Cuddle Sim Racing, it's basically we set the grid. I'll go through the format after we've got the first lap underway as the 5 red lights, and in the words of David Croft, it's lights out and away we go here at COTA. The run up to turn 1. Good start by Christian Shushka as he gets to the outside. Here comes James Barry with a dive bomb to the inside at the top of the hill here at turn 1. Chris Zoutis has Simon Edwards round to his outside. Edwards gets through down the hill for the first time into turn 2, and he's made up a position on Barry, who's right in his wheel tracks as they come through the sort of Silverstone-esque complex in towards turn 6, where you really have to put the anchors on. But Christian Shushka ahead of brother Alexander by 0.6 of a second, as they are very shortly going to be heading up towards turn 10, and then it's going to be down the hill through into the hard braking zone into turn 11, a very tight left-hand hairpin. They'll sweep to the outside. Simon Edwards taking a slightly closer line to the apex as they go up the back straightaway for the first time here on that 1 out of 7. Oh, Bousson's been, I'm not too sure if that might have been an assist or he did it all himself. I'm just going to keep an eye on the footage, but more to the point, I think Mike Bousson might have done it himself. He has had that before where he's caused himself a little bit of grief. Yes, he hit the outside curbing. It was unassisted. James Barry to the outside of Simon Edwards as they come through in towards turn 15. Barry gets the inside line through on the corner. That is a late move from James Barry, but he gets through. Marcus Lang is closing in, so all 3 of the German piloted Fox Racing cars are in at the sharp end. Marcus Lang rounding out the overall top 5 as we come through out of turn 19 into turn 20. They've got to watch track limits as Robert Nobles trying to go. Nobles the 4th trying to go through on Phil Glover. Simon Webbs gets a slow down penalty, but after the opening lap, it is Christian Shushka that leads the way. Marcus Lang closing in on Simon Edwards on the run up to turn 1. And, well, we've got Webb and Silva. Both have got slowdown penalties. Nobles through on Glover. Woodward through on Webb into turn 1. Some great exchanges, but Robert Woodward had an absolute stumble and a half there, Jim. And Steve Webb went round the outside, said, "Thank you very much. I'll take that place back."
Yeah, they, Steve Webb had a really good start. He was back in the back of the field, and Silva got off to a terrible start, and Steve had to kind of almost go off track there to get around him. But he's up already 4 spots, so he's really putting it together today, which is great to see. I always talk about it. Steve is he's a marshal, and he heavily promotes the marshalling program over in the UK and Europe. I usually have some information on that, and I'll even try to get a link maybe in the description or something to if you're interested in going to join the marshalling program, where you can sign up and go out and have you some training and get you a great experience trackside.
Yeah, Cuddle Sim Racing. Well, you can actually look in the description below, which does dictate the format. It's a 7-lap, well, about a 10-minute qualifying session, which sets the grid for race 1, which is 7 laps here at COTA. And then we invert the results of race 1, so the top 10 get inverted. So whoever finishes in 10th position becomes our pole sitter for our feature race, which will be 12 laps here at COTA next week. The series goes to Mount Panorama. And then on March the 5th, season 1 of 2026 will conclude at the place they call the Mountain, Mount Panorama, Bathurst, New South Wales, which will be a 60-minute endurance race. So keep your eyes peeled for that one.
A track that is very much in the news last week and this week in the sim racing world. For those of you who aren't familiar, that is where they hold the 12 Hours of Bathurst endurance race. So that was actually, I think, last weekend. And this weekend is the 12 Hours of Bathurst on iRacing. So a lot of folks are practicing and getting ready for that. I believe the first split start tomorrow, I believe.
Something like that, yes, Jim. But there is still a lot of opportunity for these drivers to really get their spurs on here in Texas, as it is horse riding county as well. You know, there's a. I mean, the thing is, I've never been over to the US. One of my bucket list states to visit will be Texas. Why? Because I've heard the barbecue's awesome,
amazing,
the culture. You know, there's the thing is that despite what's going on in the US, there is such a melting pot of different cultures in Texas, particularly, as now we see Phil Glover go toe-to-toe with Mr. Woodward, and that is through for 9th position. But Robert Woodward's going to come back at him, has the inside line for the next right-hander as they're coming through into turns 13, 14, and then the left-hander coming up. Mike Bousson on the recovery charge. He's going to dive to the inside at the last moment. Oh, and Phil Glover has the lock on the brakes. He gets a little tap on the left rear, courtesy of Steve Webb. But Mike Bousson took full advantage of the situation. Then there was a lock up from the front wheels of the number 666. So Mike Bousson, very, very lucky. He did not cause a chain reaction there. Well, he did a little bit, but it wasn't much. Meantime, at the front end of the field, Christian Schuschka is now ahead of brother Alexander. James Barry is within lunge range as they head down the hill through into turns 2, now 3. This is a great winding part of the circuit. They can really build some speed here, but it is also about having that nice balance between speed and handling. And as we have discussed many a time, you and I, Jim, is the fact that the SR8 seem to be the more compliant cars. Steve Webb, hold the phone. He just stole candy off a baby like he did off Phil Glover just there with that outside manoeuvre. That was late as if you ever thought it would be.
Yeah, that was a nice pass though. He held it under control, didn't make any contact. So yeah, that was a great little move there. Yeah, this is, speaking of Texas culture, Texas is a great place to visit if you come to the United States. I mean, you've got a little bit of everything here. We got the big cities, and we got the oil business, and all of the stuff that was dramatized on TV back in the 80s, or even currently with the current series about the oil business. And then we've got the food culture, and then you've got huge German heritage here. So we've got a lot of the influences of the German food, and yeah, it's a wonderful place. Barbecue is amazing, of course.
Then when you think about, obviously, with the amount of pro wrestlers that have come out of Texas, the Von Erichs, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mark Calloway, also known many as the Undertaker, Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, Booker T, JBL, and of course the American Dream, Mr. Dusty Rhodes.
Yes,
hard times, as he said. One of the best wrestling promos ever.
Oh my gosh, he was something else, wasn't he?
You know what? I'm so glad that the family tree is still very much in action with sons Dustin and Cody in respective promotions. But meantime, we really we've got a battle on our hands, because the Shishka brothers are not getting away from James Barry. Neither are they getting away from Simon Edwards. Meantime, the Bandit, Chris Zoutis, is closing in, and there they are in the back of the shot briefly with Marcus Lang. That's the battle for P5 overall. But still, they are both respectively third in the SR8 and SR10 classes. We're 50% of the way through lap number 5, so after this it'll be 3 to go here at COTA before we invert the top 10. So hopefully for Cuddles Sim Racing, you got a little bit of culture with regards to professional wrestling as to some of the greats that have come out of Texas. But also
there's a lot of greats in everything in Texas. The football culture here is amazing. We've got Matthew McConaughey. He's a big actor from Texas. There's plenty of them though.
Yes, Matthew McConaughey is one of my favorite actors, especially when he did that film with Hugh Grant called The Gentleman, based in London. But if anyone does know Matthew McConaughey, you know his catchphrase. All right. You can't get away from that. But then also, I still remember when I first watched my first NFL game, when it used to be on Channel 4 in the UK. The Dallas Cowboys always, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders have their own fan group, and they're and that's the cheerleaders.
That's still a
not
big deal,
the NFL squad. It's still a big deal. Look at this battle here,
Jim.
Jim.
Big deal in the '80s. Now that was that was the heyday of the Dallas Cowboys and the cheerleaders, and this battle here. The one thing is these Schuster brothers are so fast, man. Again, you got the likes of James Barry and Simon Edwards, and they are not catching these guys. And like I said, if you've been around sim racing at all in the radicals, James Barry and Simon Edwards have won everything that there is to win in radical sim racing, worldwide. And man, these Schuster brothers showed up a couple of seasons ago, and they are just fast.
Yeah, we are very soon about to be going on to the white flag lap here for race 1 out of week 8. So still 2 more weeks to go. Mount Panorama and then Monza. And the 60-minute race at Monza should prove to be an interesting one on March 5th, which will conclude season 1 of the Battle of the Radicals, as we see. Now, even though they are brothers, they are bit of snap-on oversteer for Alexander. He manages to correct it and stop the car swapping ends as they now really are making their way through in towards turn number 16. It's double right here, and this is the famed place where Max Verstappen got through on Kimi Räikkönen, was found to have passed illegally and got knocked off the podium. So the man whose son Robin is now running in karting, and I'm talking about Kimi. Kimi got on the podium. Max was told, no, you overtook with all 4 wheels off the track. White flag in the air. 1 lap here to go in race 1. And it has been pretty much domination by the Shishka brothers, with James Barry ruling the roost in the SR10s. Now, Simon Edwards has had a little bit of a moment. He lost well over 1 second to James Barry, and it looked like it was a combination of a couple of sectors. The most notable to me was the final sector. He did a 49.2, Stefan Mellis. Mr. Superstar DJ, oh, that's a bit wide coming out of turn one. All that work he did to get past on Robert Woodward, and it was all unsettled. The back end stepping out. He ran a bit deep at the crest of the hill and loses out 8th position overall, but more importantly, that is P5 in the SR8s. Meantime, our leaders are coming onto the backstretch for one final time through the tight left-hander here at turn 11, and now it's back on the power. Can Alexander Shishka get the opportunity of maybe pushing through and getting the run on his brother? Gap is a 10.5 and closing. But let's see what happens here. Could he go for the move up the inside into turn 12? Yes, pulls the left-hand side. The two brothers wheel to wheel. Christian to the outside. And it is going to be a drag race to turn 13, which Christian has the opportunity of staying inside. Nice job there for the two brothers to keep within track limits and keep out of each other's door panels at the same time.
Yeah, good clean racing there between the two of them. It did bring James Barry all up into the hunt there, but they seem to have gotten this squared away and have cleared him a little bit. Although he is coming hard right here. I think he's going to try to make something happen. I don't know if he's got. Oh, he's going to send it in there. That was hard. Come on now, that was never going to work.
No, James Barry is going to lose that position and lose the victory to Simon Edwards. Christian Shishka takes the win. Alexander Shishka takes P2, and with a last-minute clash, last corner, last lap, James Barry ends up finishing 6/100ths behind Simon Edwards. Well, James, you've only got one person to blame, and I think he's going to blame that on himself. He just went way too late. We're going to have a look at the replay here, courtesy of the on-track action. So out of turn 19, he just did Danny Rick on this one, 100%. And the good thing was, well, he hit too much curb, and here comes Simon Edwards. It's a short run out of turn 20, and it's by a nose that Simon takes the win. Marcus Lang rounds out the top 3 in the SR8, so a 1, 2, 3 for the Fox Racing team in that particular occasion. So we're going to bring you up the results here. So in the SR8s, Christian Shishka wins by 1.125 seconds ahead of brother Alexander. Simon Edwards wins by 6/100ths of a second. We'll make that now 78 thousandths of a second ahead of James Barry, who the last minute, last gasp, last lap lunge on Alexander Shishka got it all crossed up and wrong, but still managed to finish P2. Marcus Lang rounds out the top 3 for Fox Racing in the SR8s. The Bandit comes home with another 3rd position. Chris Zutis takes 7th, ahead of Mike Bousson, Robert Woodward, Stefan Mellis, and Robert Nobles, who will be our pole sitter for the 12-lap feature race coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. We're currently underway with the mid-point warm-up. So, I think James really, he went for it. You know, you've got to give him you got to say chapeau to him for trying.
Well,
but unfortunately, it was a bit too little, too late.
Yeah, and that was a bit optimistic there. I don't see how you're going to make that move work without using Schuster's car there using his 4 tires to help stop yours, which I got no problem with that. And the only person it took out was himself. And so in the end, no harm, no foul. As long as you don't go in there and wreck Christian in the process, that would be my issue, is if it came a situation where where ultimately he wrecked one of the Schuster brothers there trying to pull the move, then, and cost them their spot. But no, I mean, in the end, it was all good. Made for an exciting last little finish there for sure. But yeah, so one thing we haven't talked about here, and it didn't bite us in the first race, but I'm going to mention it just because if it happens, it's going to be all hell's going to break loose. These big sausage curbs here at COTA are nasty. They are bad, and they will absolutely launch one of these light radicals around. So we'll see if that does come to play here. We're going to have to run through this grid fast.
Breath is held. Ready, let's go. Robert Noble starts on pole position. Stefan Mellis will be alongside on the front row. Then Robert Woodward and Mike Bousson, row 2. Row 3, Chris Zoutis and Marcus Lang. Not that quick. James Barry and Simon Edwards, Alexander Shishka and Christian Shishka round out the top 10. Phil Glover, Steve Webb, Robert Williams, Patricio Gomez de Silva, and Kevin Harwood round out your 15 strong. Okay.
Good job. You did great.
There we go. 5 red lights here at COTA are on and out, and a big amount of wheel spin from our pole sitter who went 4 wide for a sudden moment, and Mike Bousson has charged his way through. It's going to be 5 wide into turn 1 here on lap 1. Do they make it? Just about, and it's going to be, Marcus Lang, I think, nearly had a moment there with Stefan Mellis, but Mike Bousson cracked the whip, got the giddy up, and got in front of everybody else. It's nearly Noah's Ark style 2x2 hurrah as they head through into turns 3 and 4 on this opening lap. But my goodness me.
Alexander Shuska is up 6 spots in the first turn. Oh, my word.
There we go. Alexander Shuska, he was like in the words of David Addison, he was a bit like a stabbed rat. So he is really making good his intentions. And to the inside he goes at the top of this part of the circuit through at turn 11. He gets through on Robert Woodward. Keep your eyes on the bandit, Chris Zoutis from France in the number 4 car. It's nearly wheel to wheel between James Barry, who's just got through on Stefan Mellis, down the back stretch, in towards turn 12. Look at the velocity, he's going to dive to the inside. Here comes Christian Shishka. Oh. My God, James Barry, where did you launch that from? 2 for the price of 1. He gets through on Zoutis, he gets through on Woodward, and to the outside, it's another one of the Fox Racing cars. That is going to be possibly Christian Shishka on Robert Woodward, but my goodness me, Simon Edwards is trying the high wide, and that's around the outside through the final corner on Stefan Mellis. Here comes Marcus Lang with a big old amount of speed. The third of the Fox Racing cars, the two Shishka brothers are 2nd and 4th. So Alexander Shishka up 9 spots in the first lap alone. There's been absolute bedlam in terms of overtakes happening, and more to the point, it's still carrying on. Here goes Marcus Lang trying to go round the outside of Stefan Mellis. That's for P8. And now Mike Bousson has just got a 1 3/4 second lead over Alexander Shishka, who's coming under fire from James Barry for P2 overall. Oh, and Zoutis has lost it. Oh, the bandit spins himself around, coming down the hill.
Oh, I can just hear the song in my head right now.
They spun around the bandit. There you go. There you go.
Word. We're going to get James's video flagged for copyright infringement. It's great.
Well, no, because there's no music.
That's true.
There's no music. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's not a copyright strike. Besides, it wasn't the actual words to the song either. It was just done in the same cadence.
That's right.
But still... well, even Phil Glover's getting his elbows out because... Robert Nobles is down a few positions, but Phil Glover just gets through Patricio Gomez de Silva, and that's for 11th. So,
look at Barry, man.
Whoa! I don't think Alexander Shishka knew what hit him. It's like he was standing still there for a moment.
Yeah,
but we are on to lap 2 now.
I almost say that he kind of let him go by there. Not that he would do that, but I think Barry was so aggressive that he, didn't want to jeopardize his championship points here with Barry kind of, I mean, I don't often toss around the word reckless, but we've certainly seen a couple of moves that could be classified as a bit reckless from Barry so far, which, again, it makes for exciting stuff as long as he's not taking anybody out in the process. So I can't criticize that. It's certainly exciting.
This definitely has been the case. Let's give you an update on the respective gaps between drivers at the moment. As it's 0.6 of a second between Mike Bousson, who is the race leader. Can it possibly be 2 SR8 victories in a row? That's going to be the key point here. This is the longer race, so strategy is going to be involved. The track temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit for air, 86 degrees for track, which is 21 degrees air, 31 degrees track temperature. So bit of a modest bit of wind, partially cloudy, no rainfall predicted, but the two Shishka brothers running 3rd and 4th respectively. They're running P2 and P3 in the SR8 division, but Mike Bousson,
look at this, man. James
Barry,
Bousson had almost a 2-second lead when Barry passed the Schuster brother, and in less than 1 lap Barry has run him down.
and that gap is closing. Here goes Barry for the race lead down the back straight. He is absolutely on a tear. That car has got so much pace in it. And last time round, he set the fastest lap of the race at 2-minute 1.034. Now he's got clear air, but Mike Bousson is keeping him very, very honest indeed. So thereby, this means that Bousson has got to try and do what he can. Of course, it's turbocharged engine power unit in the SR10, whereas it's a naturally air-breathing, fully fledged V8 in the mid part of the SR8. So, but the car with the turbocharging, having that, Barry's got that car really. I'm wondering if he's actually running a little bit less downforce, maybe taking out a little bit of rear wing,
maybe,
so to speak, because these
the
cars,
the speed that he was closing those gaps up at was insane.
I've just seen the speed through the speed trap, and it was showing 256.7 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely crazy. Simon Edwards, well, in terms of the miles an hour, because thank goodness I found all the bits and pieces in terms of the speed, 160 miles an hour was the recorded top speed through the speed trap by James Barry, and he's just done a 2-minute 0.09. Chris Soutis is in the pit, so the Bandit has had the mechanical black flag thrown his way, so he must have had a second moment.
Yeah, he must. Oh, he did. Yeah, he did have a second moment. Let's see real quick.
Okay, let's have a look at the replay. So
get it off the slow motion replay.
Oh, this is coming out of the final corner. Oh no!
Ow!
Snap catch. Well, it was like the triple jump. I know the Phoenix will not rise from the ashes on this particular occasion. That was a big old snap coming out of the final corner. It spat the car to the left. He corrected it, spat it to the right, and into the fence he went. So it's a real shame for Chris Soutis. But hopefully, depending on how much damage is to that car, we may see him return. Yeah, less than a minute on the pit stall. So probably be about 90 seconds that he'll have been in pit lane from entry to exit point. But meantime, the two Shishka brothers, Alexander versus Christian. Of course, Alexander was leading at Charlotte Roval before the end of race 2 when he came out of the final chicane, and he didn't even get to the final chicane before he started breaking down because it looked like it was a lack of fuel in the car. So I'm sure with a more power-hungry circuit here at COTA, you've really got to make sure that the gas tank is filled as high as you can, so it gives you a little bit of a window. Meantime, Marcus Lang languishing all the way down in 11th position behind Mr. Positivity himself, Phil Glover, in the Castrol liveried car, which always brings a smile to my face. Reminds me of the old early days of Toyota entering the World Rally Championship with the Celica GT4 and then with the Corolla at WRC. Which famously one year when Toyota with Carlos Sainz Sr., the Matador himself, were competing for the victory of the of Wales Rally GB, and the World Rally Championship title, and 200 yards from the finish. Carlos Sainz was at a stop with co-driver Luis Moya, and then famously held his race helmet through the rear windscreen.
I'm not familiar with that moment. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, I will send you the YouTube link on that one, but we did see a little bit of a lock-up from, looks like, Christian Schuschka, as here goes Stefan Mellis. Oh, and that is not how you negotiate your way through turn 11, buddy. Whoops.
Easy to happen here, though. This track is it's, you know, the surface is aging. This Texas weather is tough. Is tough on this surface here, and it's hot. That track's hot right now. It's pretty slick out there for sure.
Yeah, definitely the case. So we are into lap 5 as Mike Boussault now returns the favour in terms of fastest lap. He's just put in a 2-minute .874. They're coming through out of turns 16, 17 and 18. And then the double left here at turns 19 and 20. You've got to be very, very careful with the track limits, as the gap is about 6/10 between the pair. And Boussault was absolutely flying in the first sector. He did his personal best. We come across the line. Let's see how the lap times have shown out. Boussault 4/1000 slower than James Barry, but is starting to catch a little bit, but they go up the hill. Little puff of smoke from the left front of Barry. I'm not too sure if you might want to call that trail braking, but Marcus Lang has just dived into the pits, the number 42 Fox Racing SR8. So Marcus not having the best second race of the evening. That's going to drop him way down the order. It depends on whether he is serving a penalty for incident points reached. No, looks like a fast repair because he was on his marks, ready, set, go after 1.4 seconds. We run on board with race leader James Barry as we get a wonderful rear view camera shot underneath the rear wing on his insert name e-racing team Radical SR10. And there is Mike Boussault, who is still kept within half a second behind him. And we're very close to approaching half time in this race. Meantime, they've bolstered a little bit of a gap between themselves and the Schuschkas. Meantime, Robert Woodward has got through on Simon Edwards and now runs P5. So 80% of the top 5 at the moment are all in Radical SR8s. So I'm wondering if there's been a little bit of a moment for Simon earlier on in the race, but we are very shortly coming to the end of halfway through this 12-lap adventure for race 2, week 8 of the Radical Race Series Battle of the Radicals live here on the JP Broadcasting Network. You're in the company of Alex Goldscmidt and Jim Cunningham up here in the broadcast booth, but still, nevertheless, Simon is just getting points on the board, and that's going to be very important with 3 more races to run. But meantime, Mike Boussault is still again closing on James Barry. They come across the line. They were pretty much matched on lap time, and it was a 2:01.172 for Barry, a 2-minute 1.117 for Boussault as they go down the hill. A little bit of an interesting line take there by Mike to gather up the momentum to go through turn 2 there, Jim.
Well, you know, yes, and Mike is kind of known for sometimes taking some unique lines, you know, and don't think for a second that he won't send it on you, you know, as well. If he's, you know, he's waiting he's going to make one big attempt at passing Barry here at some point. It'll be later in this race, and he'll, if he can't run him down and pass him, he will send it on him for sure. Mike can get pretty aggressive at times, as you can see right there. He's really closing up under braking. Actually, he got through that turn really well. Actually, he made a nice bit of ground there.
Yeah, he did. He got the gap down to about 2 to 3 car lengths between himself and Barry. Meantime, Christian Schuschka has pulled away from brother Alexander, who's just set the fastest lap of the race at 2-minute .773. So out of turn 12 go our competitors through into turn 13, which nearly comes back on itself as they go through the right at 14. And then short shoot up to turn 15. Now this is where we saw Buson went.
Let's take a
right.
look real
Okay.
quick here. Steve Webb had a quick incident. I just wanted to go back and see what happened with him.
Okay. So let's have a look.
Turn one.
Yeah, turn one. At least he kept it kept well held. He kept it pointing in the right direction down the hill.
Yeah, he just kind of power slid through there. That was actually well done.
Yeah, it was it was not Tokyo Drift, it was Texas Drift right there.
Indeed, yes.
Meantime, Mike Buson is closing in. That gap has been that's been closing and closing. It was 2.5 tenths of a second as they came across the line. Into turn one, James Barry is really having to watch his six a little bit now, because Buson is getting ever closer. Is getting closer as well between the Shishka brothers, because Buson's just done a 2-minute .658. Christian Shishka just went 5 1,000ths quicker and set the fastest lap of the race. So it is so minute in terms of the delta between lap times set by Buson and Shishka, but we are having some other battles that are really closing up. Stefan Mellis being closed in on by Robert Nobles, who started as our top 10 inverted pole sitter for race 2. As he's closing in the man from Belgium. First came across that man a little while ago. I think it was in a GR86 league, or no, it was a GT4 league. I came across him for the first time.
Who's that cartoon character he's got on the side of his car there?
Let's just have a look.
It's on the roll bar post. See it right there? It's like that dog.
Is it like Brian from Family Guy or something, possibly?
Maybe. It's hard to get a close-up on it, but
or it looks like the character's got yellow skin, so that could possibly be
Hanna-Barbera, like a like Deputy Dog, or I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah,
it's not Deputy Dog though. Oh, poor Steve Webb's had another incident. We won't.
Oh, Steve. Oh dear. No, he's just lost it in front of them.
He's gonna have bad memories of Coda now when he comes back to marshal the Formula One race here this year. He'll
have a bit of PTSD, saying, "Oh God, I span it there. Oh, turn 12, don't post me there." I had bad moments on a radical race.
Oh, but I had this video. It's not on this one. It was on the other Radical series, the SR8 series we do here on the channel. But he sent me a video from Las Vegas last year, and all the marshals dressed up in these costumes, and he was in this giant chicken suit out running around on the track, and oh, what a hot mess, man. It was just funny. It was all the marshals were in these costumes and just acted funny. It was quite hilarious.
Yeah, well, the things people do for a laugh, eh? They've got to.
I mean, you can just tell those guys have a good time, I mean, obviously they're, they work hard at these races, but they have a good time as well, it looks like.
That's very much the case. We're coming down to what will be the final quarter of this race. We're on lap 9. Alexander Shishka now has the fastest lap. Here goes Simon Edwards, slingshot engaged, in the words of Carol Norton Jr. as he gets through on Robert Woodward. So that was a nice pass by the man who has won so many Radical Race Series titles, and he's been one of the key people behind the scenes that have really helped to keep the cars very even in terms of performance. But we are seeing that the SR8s, as we discussed last week at Charlotte Roval Gym, that the SR8s seem to have that little bit more added grunt in hand, but the SR10s do also have really good handling. Of course, the aerodynamics have changed over the years as the Radicals have evolved, as we head on to lap 10 out of 12, 3 to go, including this one, and Buson is as close as he's ever been to the rear wing of James Barry as we go up the hill here at turn 1.
Whoop. Meant to do that camera. I thought Buson might send it on in there, but I think he's waiting. I don't think he wants to be in front of Barry, because he knows Barry will send it on him. I think he wants to take advantage of that and try to take probably last lap and try to make a move on him or something. Because he stayed with him. And the way Barry passed everybody else on this track, that's pretty impressive that he's staying with him. Yeah, I mean, you get right here through these S's and through this section here, the Maggots and Beckett section and all of that. He's staying up with him. I think Barry, like you said, probably dropped some wing off in between those two races to pick up some overall top speed, which is, you know, obviously where the SR10 is gonna benefit around here with the horsepower. So you take the downforce out a little bit and let it stretch its legs, so to speak.
Yeah, as they go down the back straight away. James Barry on the indicator telemetry, 158 miles an hour. Then it's all the way down to, well, it's a scrub off of about 100 miles an hour in the braking zone into turn number 12 as he goes through turn 13 into 14.
We've seen some lockups, so to be fair, these cars don't have ABS or traction control, so it can be difficult to slow these cars down, you know, because they don't have the best brakes on them either, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They're a spec brake pad and rotor setup or brake pad and disc, as we would say in the UK. But you can see here, coming through out of the final corner now, can Mike Bousson, look, he's right with him. Gap is less than 2/10. This is the closest he's ever been. What is Bousson going to do here? It's as we go up the hill that the SR10 seems to keep its speed a little bit more in check. But through into turn 1, Bousson is within that window. He's within striking distance of James Barry as they go through. We ride on board through out of turn 2, into 3, now into 4. Both drivers minding out for the sausage curbs. And it's going to be a little bit of brakes here into turn 6 and 7, and then into turn 8 before we hit turn 9. And Bousson is still keeping within that quarter of a second window. And as they come out of turn 9, down the hill they go. And the descent will assist Mike Bousson because gravity always has to go somewhere. In towards turn number 11. Bousson is right there with Barry, who's had no real room to breathe. We're halfway through lap 10 out of we're on lap 11. We've got this and one more to go, and I think Mike Bousson will wait for the last lap itself here, Jim. Judging by how the race is panning out, whether the pendulum is swinging. Meantime, the gap between Bousson and Christian Schuschke has gone up. It's gone up from, I think, about a second and a half, and it's now 2 seconds to the betterment of the 666 from Team Radline. But I think that Barry still is keeping a watching brief on what Bousson is trying to do. And look how close he is through into the triple right here at turn 16 to 18. And Bousson could get the whole shot coming out of the final corner. White flag will be in the air this time for race 2. Week 8 of the Battle of the Radicals here at Kota. Out of the final corner. Here we go. White flag in the air. Bousson has got the run. Can he make it work? Barry trying to cover him off on the run up the hill. And still Bousson shows his nose to Barry. Oh, that was going to be very, very close, but it could be decided maybe on the back straight, maybe out of the final corner. We have got about less than, 3 miles left of real estate to run on, and this could really help Mike Bousson in his charge in the SR8 side of things. But James Barry wanting to try and close up to Simon Edwards with 3 races to go after this.
Yeah, this is, I got a feeling that he's going to take a stab at him here pretty soon. My guess is
now,
this hairpin right here would be a good spot for him to do it.
He could also try at turn 15 like we did see him in the previous race. Now through into turn 12, tight on the apex. Now put the power down, 3rd gear. 4th gear, probably at north of 100 plus miles an hour. And you can see that Barry's just trying to break the toe. And Bousson, 5th gear, 106 gear now, 150 miles an hour. It's going to be hard on the brakes very, very shortly into turn 12. Down the gearbox into 2nd. Scrub off the speed. and we saw at turns 16, 17 and 18, that's where the SR8's handling prowess in comparison with the SR10s is so much mightier, going through, medium to high speed corners, as we're now going to go through that part of the circuit into turn 16. Keep your eyes on Buson. He's tighter on all three of the apexes. 2 more corners to go. It will be a brief run out from the final turn. Buson, can he make it stick? 1 more corner to go out of the final turn.
Nope.
Here on race 2, week 8. First race went to the Shushkas. This race goes to James Barry with Mike Buson a 10.5 behind at the checkered.
Wow. Yeah, that was quite a finish there, but great race. I mean, those two neck and neck the whole entire way. That was fantastic, man. Simon Edwards pulls a 2nd in class and 5th overall out there. I think he kind of might have outdone himself this time around with the balance of these cars. I think he gave the SR8s a little bit of an advantage here. They naturally had a little bit of an advantage here.
Well, the good thing is Phil Glover, he's not only going to finish P10 overall, but it's going to be a podium for the man from Positivity Racing. So our Simon Edwards' resident Padawan takes the podium, even though it's all the way down in 10th, and he beat Marcus Lang from Fox Racing to the checkered by just over a 10.5. As we've got a last lunge there by Isilva. That's cost him. That's a slowdown and a black flag penalty. That's not what you want. Slowdown penalty, final corner. You cross the line. You haven't served it. Black flag. It's like saying being told to go to the principal's office.
Yeah, well, and that's going to be a 40-second trip to the principal's office, unfortunately. So, that means that the Bandit is going to take 4th place in the class away from him. Right.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, what a good race though. A lot of fun. Let's see here. Let's look at these results now. There they are. Right.
Well, folks, race 2 in the bag here at COTA, Circuit of the Americas. Hardest charger, Christian Schuschke, up 7 places. James Barry led 10 of the 12 laps. Mike Buson leading the opening 2. Alexander Schuschke with the fastest lap of the race. And 65 kilometres of racing completed. James Barry beating Mike Buson by just a 10.5 at the flag. Christian Schuschke finishing 2nd ahead of brother Alexander, who ran at the top 3 in the SR8 side of things when it comes to the rostrum. Simon Edwards finishes P5 ahead of Robert Woodward, who finishes 4th in SR8. Stefan Mellis, Robert Nobles, who was our pole sitter, Steve Webb, and Mr. Phil Glover himself, who rounds out our top 10, taking a podium. Marcus Lang, Robert Williams, Kevin Harwood, the Bandit Chris Sutis getting ahead of Patricio Gomez y Silva, who got a slowdown penalty last corner, last lap.
Wow.
And it was a bit too late because it's a short run out of turn number 20 here at COTA for the start-finish line. And that was it. Gomez y Silva ends up down 5th in class, but more importantly, that is 15th and stone dead last as well. Meantime, let's head over to our post-race interview show.
Before we pull somebody in, I want to give a quick shout-out to Robert Woodward. 6th place, kind of middle of the front pack there, but what a great run that was. He battled with Simon the entire race there. Passed Simon at one point and stayed ahead of him for several laps. Simon did get him back in the last few laps, but what a good run for him. I just wanted to give him a shout out. Just an excellent showing from him this week, and I wanted to point that out.
Played there, Jim. So first things first, let's bring in one of Somerset's finest, Mike Buson. It's been a while. It's Alex and Jim in the comms box. How are you, buddy? That was a likely start in race 2.
Yeah, I must have the same engine as the Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari's got. It's starts are good for me. They're getting, they've got a lot better recently as well. So that was lightning.
Mate, it was like I thought. Hang on, has he put an upside down wing like what Fred Vasseurs nicknamed the Macarena? Because it's like the dancers putting their hands up. He was quoted that I think on today, but still, you let it for a couple of laps, and then James got through, but you still kept him, as always, mate, with your driving style. Very, very honest. It was just over a tenth and a half at the flag.
Yeah, it was. I got in late for practice. I didn't even realise I owned the track, to be fair, and it was very slippery and weird. And obviously, there is this contingent that loves the low downforce, and I can't normally keep up with them. And I always I think I got within about 15 minutes of the end of the session and thought, this ain't working for me. I went to some most sport, highest downforce setup you could ever imagine. I think it's 30 rear and 2 front, and I thought, obviously I built quite a nice gap to start with, and I thought I was being a bit clumsy. And then when James came along, I thought it was a blessing in disguise, to be fair, because as much as it was hard being behind him in the slower stuff, obviously he kept me away from the brothers, so it was not in my interest to really, until the last few laps, even consider whether or not I would mount a challenge. And there was a couple of times where I thought I could stuff this up the inside, but obviously I'm dipping in and out, so I didn't want to ruin his race and stuff like that, just with a last minute dive or anything like that. So I was happy just to bring it on home, really.
I mean, you, me, and JP, we've always had discussions whenever we've spoken to you post race. I mean, it's good to see you back in the preferred choice of yourself, the SR8, and taking a win in the class as well, keeping away from the brothers. I think you're about 2 seconds away from Christian. Come the checkered, mate. So you did a blooming good job. But also, what I noticed
they are absolute animals, aren't they? So I didn't even think I'd be anywhere handy. I thought they would just close in on me. Even with James, I thought they'd come at me. So I thought myself, a few laps, and then they'd just go. So it was fine.
I think one of the things we noticed was how well planted the car was through turns 16, 17, and 18, and we could see that you were taking a tighter apex on all 3 corners in comparison with James in front of you. So that car was absolutely handling like a true monster.
Yeah, to be fair, in those last sections, it was having to lift because I would have just rammed him off the track. And to be fair, with 2/30, I was amazed how well it stayed on the back of him, really, along that straight, to be fair. So I think it was the right choice. I generally go high downforce because I can't, obviously, I expect a lot of them were running 0.2 or 0.4, and it doesn't work for me, to be fair. I'd rather sacrifice it, and if they go past me, they go past me on the straights. But yeah, I'd rather have a bit of fun in the corner with them.
There we go. Well, mate, listen, great job to get P2 in race 2. Before we let you go, Mike, anyone you want to give a shout out to in particular?
No. That's it. I've got nothing.
No. Hey, you know what? That's the thing I appreciate about you, Mike. You're straight talking, and if you haven't got anyone to shout out, it's absolutely fine by me. But good.
I did not I didn't even think I'd be here, so I didn't prepare. So I'll work harder next week.
Awesome, buddy. Well, listen, have a good one. We'll see you next week at Bathurst.
Catch you later, boys.
Oh, you gotta love Mike.
Mike Buisson, always a character, but it's good to have him back in the series. Right, okay, next up, we're going to bring in Mr. James Barry. James, good evening.
Hello. Why are you speaking to me?
Yes, it is indeed. It is that time. We were thinking, where have you put like hyperspeed on that SR10 tonight in race 2? Because I think, what was it? You were up 9 places by the end of lap 2, and then you were chasing down Mike like nobody's business. That car was absolutely mighty in race 2. Talk us all through it.
It didn't feel that way. I think the pace was slower in race 2, probably because of fuel load plus the temperatures. But no, in the first race, I mean, I was just kind of sat behind the Shushka brothers and just couldn't make any inroads on them. So it was hard to tell what the car was really like. then I kind of ended up spoiling it at the end with a bit of a silly move at the last turn. not my best moment, but then made up for it. Yeah, first lap of the feature race was so fun. People really kind of slandering this track. I understand fully why, but that first lap with all these, twists and turns and all the different lines you can take in the entries of some of them made the first lap so interesting. So that was really fun in the feature race. And then I don't know. I mean, just compared to the SR8s, the straight line speed was really good, and I mean, I couldn't get away from Mike. He was really fast, so I wasn't that fast.
Did you take any wing out of the car between the first and second race?
No, actually, I put it on because I figured even with the front wing as high as rear wing as front as I want it, I've still got all the straight line speed that I need to get past the SR8s. So just to make the car easier to drive because it's sliding around in these high temps, I added a bit of downforce.
I'll tell you, when you go back and watch it, man, there's some points in there where you just had some incredible closing speed on some of those SR8s, which is to be expected with the car, but even more so than normal, man. I mean, you made you closed up on at one point. I'm not sure who it was on. But I think it was one of the Schuster brothers, maybe. You closed up like 2 seconds in like a half a lap. I mean, and it without an apparent, misstep by whoever it was that you were closing on. It was quite impressive.
Yeah, well, thank you. I don't know. I can't say nothing special to it. Pretty simple setup, quite similar to the fixed setup, just adding the standard things like shorter gear ratios. But other than that, yeah, just having fun out there.
Good.
Some pretty convincing performances out there. We've got 3 races to go, 2 at Mount Panorama next week, and then we've got the 60-minute enduro at Monza. How are you fancying your chances, James? Because Simon has still got a little bit of a lead, not just over you, but the rest of the field.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not been looking at the points, so I don't know what realistically the gap is. But I've just been having fun coming out here. I'm usually doing the fixed setup, but it's just fun to come and mess around a bit with the setup and have fun in these, especially the reverse grid races. They're really fun. So just having fun, and I really enjoy Mount Panorama, so hopefully can have a really good time as well there.
Well, listen, thanks for your time and having a chat with us tonight, as always. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
I'll shout out Mike Buson for showing his real pace in the feature races he's done many times before in the past. Always fun to see him sitting there in first, sitting prettily in first place in the reverse grid races.
Brilliant. Well, James, thanks for your time, buddy. We'll see you next week for the penultimate week at Mount Panorama in Bathurst. Well done tonight.
Cheers. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's bring in next up Mr. Positivity. You got a podium in race 2. Phil Glover, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are we? All good?
Well, all pretty good. Yeah. I'm not so sure about this track though, Jim. I know it's in your backyard. Gosh, it's
straight away. You go for the jugular there, but
right
right off the bat.
And where's my beer?
Oh yeah, that's right. I was supposed to. That's right. Well, we'll have to.
I kept looking out at every corner, seeing if you dropped one down there.
No, I was. You missed me. I was in the stands. I was the guy who took his shirt off. I was.
I knew something put me off my line.
That's what it was. Yeah.
No, it wasn't the guy standing by the camera, Phil, going yeah, like it happened a few years ago in Formula One. But nevertheless, mate, some great overtakes from you, and you ended up with a P3 in race 2, despite finishing 10th overall. We saw some great battles between you, Robert, Stefan, and a few others to boot. I mean, as you said, it's a difficult track to master here at COTA, isn't it?
I bought it. Simon had said we'd done it before, but it wasn't in my list of tracks I owned, so I bought it on Tuesday, and it took me a long time to get in my brain the sequences, of the corners. It's quite a tricky track.
I think what makes it tough is it's got a lot of different style corners, and with the elevation changes, it really can it'll have situations where the car's turning when it's getting really light going up a hill or something, and it's easy to run wide. It is a tough track. Personally, I think it's a fun track to drive, but it definitely takes a little time to get to know this place for sure.
It kind of reminded me a bit of the Olympics and the slalom. All you needed to put was a few gates between the corners, and you've kind of got that swaying slalom motion as you
if
go.
you hit one of those big giant sausage curves going through those S's, it'll be like that girl in the downhill skiing, because it'll sure wreck you quick, man. I'm sure you probably caught one of those at least once in practice.
Oh yeah, definitely. How was it? Was it quite interesting up front, or was it
race 2?
Yeah.
Buisson basically went. I'm gonna be like a rat up a drain pipe, and then we saw James Barry try and make his way through the field. The Shishkas were charging through. I think particularly Christian. So
he was up 7 spots by about the 5th turn of the first lap. So yeah, super exciting. A lot of excitement, and especially in race 2.
Yeah, and I'll just do a little call out to I think it's Marcus Lang, because out of one of the corners I lost a little bit of grip, and he ended up hitting me. So and I think he had to go into the pits. So obviously it wasn't intentional, but I don't like that sort of thing to happen to people.
No, I mean, we did see him go into pits. He did do a fast repair, so no harm, no foul there, I think, Phil. But nevertheless, mate, podium race 2, and we've got Mount Panorama next week, Bathurst.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be a tough one, isn't it?
Well, I hope the marshals are a bit more on the game than they were in the actual real race.
Shots fired!
Did you watch that,
Phil?
God,
I watched it live as it happened. Yeah. Stay away from Skippy and the echidnas to boot as well at 250 kilometers an hour.
Yeah,
but
I'd be interested to hear what Steve Webb thought of that. But anyway, that's for another day, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. But listen, mate, good to chat with you.
It's difficult for marshals. They do it voluntary, don't they? And
exactly.
It's very easy for us to criticise, but it didn't good.
The main thing is there's going to be a look into it, and that's all. That's the main thing that needs to be brought as a positive from that incident. It was quite a hefty one. But you know what, Phil? As always, it's a pleasure to speak to Mr. Positivity of this league. Before we let you go, buddy, and enjoy the rest of your evening, who do you want to give a shout out to in particular, apart from Marcus tonight?
Has to be you guys, doesn't it? And Jim, even though he didn't get me my beer. Yeah.
I'll owe you one.
And I'm really looking forward to Bathurst. I love the jeopardy of that track. So, see you next week.
Yep, see you.
See you then, Phil.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Can't believe I let Phil down on his beer, man.
Ah, damn it. Right, okay. Well, I think we've got time for one more interview anyway. Let's bring in a man who really needs no introduction when it comes to radicals. Let's bring in Simon Edwards. Simon, it's Alex and Jim in the commentary box. Good evening. How are you, buddy?
Oh, good evening. I didn't know if you were going to pull me in because I was a bit rubbish.
Look, we try and bring in as many people as we can at the end. But still, it was a bit of a topsy-turvy one for you tonight, even though you still got a bit of a points lead over Bruno because Bruno wasn't here this evening. But nevertheless, Cota's one of those tracks where it can be for some drivers, and I think Jim and I have experienced this with talking with other drivers. It can be a bit Marmite. Either you love it or you hate it. What's your personal thoughts on Cota?
I love it just as much as Marmite, and I don't like Marmite. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Hey, at least it was a direct question. I got a direct answer, but still, some good battles. I think also with the fact we saw Mike. Like literally, I think he engaged turbo boost. He must have had a hidden switch for the nitrous somewhere in his car, and then shot ahead of everybody else. And then you were sort of somewhere in the middle of everything, where it was all kicking off. We were nearly 5 wide into turn 1 on lap 1, race 2, I've never seen that in a radicals race where we've gone nearly 5 abreast into the opening corner and it's uphill and
come
it's a
out.
left-hander. Yeah, it's
and come
crazy,
out,
but
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I might be able to just sneak round the outside of everybody, but like you say, there was too many too wide, so I had to give him room to Stefan, I think it was, so to make sure that we didn't end up in a pile. But if I'd got past, I think I might have been able to get up to the Shushkas because it takes about a lap and a half extra for the eights to get up to speed. So it gives you like an opportunity that you wouldn't otherwise have because I didn't really have the pace. I had the pace in practice earlier in the week, but in the session itself, just the track conditions, weather conditions, I just didn't have grip at either end of the car. So I was just making the maximum I could with what I had.
Yeah, I mean, but still, we got 3 more races to go. We got 2 at Mount Panorama next week, and then we got the 60-minute enduro at Monza to end out season 1. Mount Panorama, close quarter walls coming from turn 2 right the way to Brock Skyline, and then you got 2 flat out bits of tarmac where you can really go completely full throttle. How are you feeling ahead of it?
Well, this one's not Marmite. This one's more cream cake for me. So yeah,
with the cherry on top.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. I love Bathurst. Even if you end up having a bad race, it's still a nice challenge.
Cool. Well, listen. Before we let you go, as always, Simon, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Anyone you want to give a shout out to in particular?
I'll give a shout out to everybody who turned up here who might not think this is the best track and still turned up anyway. And maybe Mike as well for even though he says, "Oh, I don't like doing the official races," he keeps turning up, doesn't he? So
he's a glutton for punishment. That man. He says one thing and does another, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's welcome. He's welcome anytime.
Awesome. Well, Simon, good to chat to you as always, buddy, and we'll see you for the penultimate round at Mount Panorama next week for week 9.
Yep. See you then.
Okay. Big thing. You know what? I think let's just for giggles, let's bring in Robert Nobles, who was our pole sitter in race 2. Robert, it's Alex and Jim in the commentary box. Well, 2 top 10 finishes for you. P10 in race 1, P8 in race 2. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling quite good. I was not expecting to have such a good race here. I'm new to this car, new to this combination, so yeah, just really enjoying it.
And what was the thing that attracted to you to get on board with the battle of the radicals, even though you're in the SR8? It was I think you probably got a bit swamped when we went green for race 2.
Yeah, that's my inexperience with the car for sure. And during my time that I'm usually able to race during the weeks, there's nobody really on the officials, and so not a lot of time to practice with the car. I'm over here in California, so the times usually don't line up. But since I have availability on Thursdays, I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and jump in on this so I can learn how to drive this car a little bit better. These guys are absolutely quick.
You couldn't ask for a better place to learn how to drive these cars than this group of guys in this league. I mean, there's so many fast guys here and guys that are also willing to help once you get to know them. You know.
Yeah, and the driving was extremely clean. I had a really great battle with Phil in the first race that went for a couple of corners, and just right there with enough space for everybody was nice and respectful. So yeah,
you got to watch Phil. Great. He'll run you off the track now.
No, he was a good time. It was a good time with him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. That's a guy that's. You go back in several seasons and watch Phil's progression, man. He has really come a long way. He's great, you know. And that's a guy that you could probably get with and would jump in there and practice too. He, you know, I know he, you know, he would be more than willing to share his experience with you for sure.
For sure, for sure. And then as far as like how I got attracted to this league, I was just sitting at home one day watching YouTube, and one of the broadcasts was in the recommended, so I popped in and watched the broadcast. It was fantastic, by the way. But yeah, and then it got me interested in checking out the league. I found out they were available on Thursdays, and I'm off on Thursdays, so I have time during the middle of the day, which is, it's 2 o'clock over here in California. So yeah, I was able to join, and man, it just blown me away this week.
Well, there you go.
Hopefully, there we go. So hopefully that means we'll see you next week for Mount Panorama then, will we, Robert?
Oh yes, definitely count on it.
Put your,
Awesome.
put your practice in there.
Yeah, you definitely need it. You'll definitely need it with these cars, believe you me. But Robert, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next week for week 9 at Mount Panorama.
Thank you, Alex and Jim. Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, Jim, 2 exciting races: Madness and Mayhem, lap 1, race 2.
So good. That first lap or 2 in race 2 was just insane. 5 wide going into turn 1, and the guy who sent it 5 wide was Simon. That's the best part.
But he said I could cheekily try and get around the outside of all of them.
Yeah,
that would have been 4 for the price of 1. But folks, what can we say? 2 more weeks to go in the Radical Race Series Battle of the Radicals for Season 1 2026. 2 races next week at Mount Panorama in Bathurst, and then the week after we head to the Temple of Speed, Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, for the 60-minute Enduro finale. This has been a JPB Broadcasting production here live on YouTube. If you haven't already, give us a like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Coming up over the rest of the week, tomorrow night, we've got the Virtual Circuit Racing MX5 Championship from Winton Motor Speedway, the Jack Ashton Racing Club and Novice Racer Porsche Cup heads here to Circuit of the Americas for round 4. The Forefront Toyota GR86 Championship, presented by Tanzo Racing Group, heads to Mount Panorama for round 8 this coming Sunday night. And as always, we always like to have a bit of fun, courtesy of our friends at IGP, as the Super Formula Lights round 10 season 1 heads to the Miami International Autodrome that currently hosts the Miami Grand Prix in Formula 1. You've been in the company of Alex Goldscmidt and Jim Cunningham up here in the broadcast booth. We'll see you next time in 7 days from now, as the mountain will beckon for our Radical Race Series drivers. Until next time, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Good night.